Hello, Collision. How are you? All right, so I'm Rhett Power. I'm CEO of Accountability, Inc., an executive coaching and training firm, and also a columnist at Forbes. And I'm excited to be here today to talk about trust. And I know the announcer introduced the session, so let's jump right into it. So I've got a great panel, and I want to ask you guys, in an era where we've got corporate scandals often making the headlines, how do companies ensure transparency and honesty in their operations? And how do you build trust with our customers, with your customers, and with your teams? And I'll start here.
Okay, thanks. Big questions, because I think we have to think about how we're doing this internally with our teams, as you said, as well as with the customers. And when we're looking at both, I think transparency about exactly what it is that we're doing. So picking up a purpose, being purpose-driven, and having a mission, and then living to that, and showing internally to your team members or employees that is how you are actually guiding your decision-making, and then proving that to your customers in the decision-making as well. And that means a degree of transparency in how you're making decisions that I think is missing in some organizations and done really well by other organizations. But it also means having internal processes and decision-making capabilities within the organization that will actually allow you to make decisions in accordance with those criteria. I remember when I first joined Telus, I was shocked. In the orientation materials, it had all of our guiding principles, the mission and values. And I was used to seeing these in organizations, but I wasn't used to hearing them once I joined. And I remember my first week at Telus, I thought everyone was kind of doing this because I was the new person, that when we were making decisions at the end of each meeting or at some point during the meeting, somebody would say, well, what would this look like if we're putting customers first? Or they would pull in one of the guiding principles, at least one every single time. And if you're doing that, it really grounds decision-making. And I think you get the buy-in of your own team members and employees. They understand the mission, and they will be trustworthy if that's well understood by them. And then I think it means that you can be, the proof is actually in the pudding for your customers and your other stakeholders, that you are in fact making those decisions based on those principles.
Thank you.
So thanks for the question. I think for us at Symcor, it's really, for us, ethical leadership in general, which sort of trust to me is a kind of a byproduct of that. It's certainly earned. It's a cornerstone of sort of how we operate, how we build products, how we serve our customers, what's important to us. And so it's inseparable right now in terms of how we think about performance as being just a good company. And that's a weird word to say, as a good company, but it's really all about how we are honest. It's a level of integrity. We've already demonstrated that during the COVID period. It's about employees first. It's about customers first. And so I think when we think about our culture in our company, or I even think about how I think about ethics and values, and it's truly sort of a gauge to which we earn the right to sort of exist. And in our company, we're roughly 2,000 people, pan-Canada. I think every employee is committed to those values. And for us, it's we measure it, right? So we measure almost our ethics, which ties to trust. We do that through our culture survey. We do it through our employee surveys. And I think we're very proud that, a couple of years ago, we came out at 86 in trust in terms of how employees and customers rank us. So I think it's very key to us. I don't think you show up one day and decide that you're going to be a trustworthy, ethical company. You either are or you aren't. And it speaks to the core values of who you are, and so we embrace that deeply.
Well, at Desjardins, we have been found 123 years ago as a financial cooperative group. And I like to say that Alphonse Desjardins, our founder, was probably one of the first Canadian socio-entrepreneur at that time, 123 years ago, because it was difficult for French Canadians to have access to credit, to open a bank account, for all the reasons you can have in your mind. He decided to build and launch a co-op. And now it's 58,000 employees, more than $400 billion of assets around the world, and more than 21 billion revenues. But the purpose at the beginning, being there for the people, being there for the community, enrich the lives of people and communities, the meaning is still so strong in our DNA that it's really helpful when it's time to take a decision, when it's time to make a move. So I think, to answer your question, there's probably three elements that are so important. First, companies and CEOs and management committee really have to understand that it's part of the expectation that people have. Now, not only the returns and the short-term profits, it's part of managing a company now to be really aware of the society that you live in. The second thing is purpose, purpose, purpose. But repeat, repeat, and repeat. It's been 7 years that I'm chairman and CEOs. It's been 7 years I'm repeating the same thing all the time to be sure that all the people knows very well what's the meaning of the purpose. If there's an actuarian, if there's a financial planner, if there's a broker, if they are whatever they're doing in the company, for them the purpose is meaningful in the way they connect with people. And we change also the annual evaluation of our people. Now 50% of the annual evaluation is directly connected to the way you behave, the way you act in connection with the purpose and the meaning and the trust and what we expect from you. So I think it's also a way to be sure that people are accountable at the end of the day of the purpose. It's not just words, it's really action at the end. So that's how we do that at Desjardins.
That's fascinating, and thank you for that. I'd love to dig more into that, maybe on a side note. How do you manage, or maybe balance is a better way to say this, the need for profitability versus leading ethically? And do you have to have, is there a give and take in there somewhere, or do you have to compromise with ethics versus profitability?
I don't think you have to compromise at all. In fact, what I have found is that by focusing on garnering customer trust, we're at a technology conference and we're talking about technology. If consumers, citizens don't have confidence in your technology, if they don't trust how you're going to handle their data or whatever it is that they're communicating with you through the technology.
I mean, they demand it today, right?
100%.
They demand it.
Then you're not going to be in business very long. I mean, all of the amazing things that we are going to be able to do as a society, using technology, using data, using AI, all of those things are not available to us if people don't trust the digital ecosystem. So in order to actually increase the size of that pie, to improve things generally for society and certainly to improve things for each particular company, we have to all be focusing on garnering trust in the digital ecosystem and garnering trust in technology. We're at a really critical point right now with AI and subject to so much discussion. Absolutely.
Right.
That if we don't get it right, it's all over. And according to many, quite literally all over. So we have to get this right. This is, not just good for business, it's good for humanity. But, on a much smaller scale, I have a kind of an interesting story. I was originally interviewing at Telus for the job of Chief Privacy and Compliance Officer. And in the course of my job interview with our CEO, he asked me to kind of talk about why I thought I was there and what I would want to do. And he just said, you just talked about privacy for 10 minutes and you never said the word compliance once. And he said, you used the words trust and ethics 8 times. And he said, right now, let's just change the name of this title to Trust, Chief Data and Trust Officer. And that was absolutely transformational because it meant that when I'm speaking to our business folks, if I go to them and say, this is what you have to do for privacy compliance purposes, I'll get a roll of the eyes and I'll get minimum necessary to get it past Pam, a check in the box. But if I talk to them about how do you get trust with your customers, how are you going to make sure they trust what you are doing, that you are being trustworthy, They understand that because they know that is exactly what they need to be good for business. So I think, you know, there is no trade-off in the grand scheme of things. This has to be the way we work from the perspective of technology, or it's over for all of us, I think.
Well, I imagine, if I'm sure there's research out there, but I imagine there's a direct correlation between profit and trust, right?
We have lots of research
sure.
that says that, absolutely. You know, just recently there's a Edelman survey that said people are 79% more likely to buy a product if they trust your brand. That's huge. That is
Massive.
huge.
Yeah, I agree with Pam. I don't believe for a second that there is a compromise here. The answer to me is fairly no, there isn't. If you are going to, even on a personal side, I don't think any one of you in this audience or at this conference or myself wake up today and decide that money matters more than trust or ethics. I just think that's just bad behavior. So I just don't see the correlation between the two. Now, it exists, but I don't think from a sustained point of view, when we look at our company, we see that ethics and values and trust is an underpinning of profitability, and you can't sustain it. If you are an unethical and trustworthy company, it's just a matter of time that you will not exist, and for sure that you shouldn't exist. So I don't see the two as at all joined at the hip. I don't see it as a trade-off that way. And, you know, for us, for example, during the COVID period was a true test of ourselves in terms of our values really reigned at that time, right?
Yeah.
We actually said profit is the last thing on the list. The first thing was employees first, customers first, protecting the safety. You know, if you need masks, buy masks. It was never profit. Because we made, as an executive team, we made a decision as across the company is we don't want to wake up 5 years from now and regret that we should have done something different in COVID. We said we were no regrets. So I think that there isn't a correlation, and it's unfortunate where we are now. I mean, I can't imagine walking into our company or any of us on this stage saying, today we put aside trust so we can make more money. I mean, if we do, we're crazy. We shouldn't be on this stage. We shouldn't even exist, quite frankly. But we are in a time now that is worrisome. I am clearly one of these leaders that are worried about the climate and what's happening, and that we are disconnecting ourselves from trust. We feel like it's a switch and words you turn on and off, as opposed to a prerequisite. It's, to me, a precondition of our existence. We were born with a level of trust, right? Like, you trust your parents, you trust your driver, you trust whoever. I'm getting on an airplane this afternoon, I sure trust the pilot. But then, you know, it's a gauge after that. It's earned. And as we earn it, it will go up or down. And society right now is turning, things that are happening is turning things down.
So is it harder as a CEO today?
It is.
Because of I mean, we're so polarized in our politics, in our society. Is it harder?
It's harder. It is definitely harder. It is something now that you can't take for granted. You have to be very deliberate in the way you conduct yourself, which is a natural way anyway to conduct yourself, to be ethical, honest, transparent, accountable, high integrity. We all are. We all live that value. But now you feels like you're facing headwinds of technology enabled in some cases, headwinds of truth, mythology, lie, cheating, and stealing, that we have to push against that to keep that barrier of honesty and how we do business.
I mean, we have a responsibility, I think, as leaders in that way to do that.
We have a huge responsibility as leaders if we let that go. But it's also individuals. I think each of us in this room and around this world right now, if we find it and find it leaking, we've got to stop that leak. We've got to call it and try to turn it every day towards back to where it was.
Honestly, the question is very good, and the answer is yes. The problem with the answer is not that I will say yes as a CEO, is that How is it going to be a yes with 58,000 employees day after day, minute after minute, in their mindset? That's the challenge that we're facing. Because yes, the answer on the panel is always we have to balance and it shouldn't be in a position. But on a regular basis, when you have 7.5 million clients in the country, and you know that many employees interact, and I'm in the business of trust. I lend money, I invest money, people are trusting us. So I'm in this business. So I think it comes back to purpose and culture. Which culture do you want to build in your company? Is it innovation? Is it performance? Is it returns on investment? Is it HR? Is it which kind of culture do you want to? And at one point, your culture must embed trust, and trust. And it's a long path: values, mission, culture. And when it's really clear, I'm the CEO since 2016. Each 2 months, I have regular meetings with the 58,000 employees in the country. And I discuss with them. I open the line, and there's around 45,000 each time. And the first 30 minutes, it's to just align examples, what I expect, how do you balance profit and trust and ethics. And the next 30 minutes is to listen to them, how difficult it is for them. And I give examples. So really, repeat the purpose. That's the way I find you can really integrate both of these topics.
So I have 2 questions left, and we've got about 6.5 minutes. So I want to do this quickly. I do want to get into AI and our trust and where that's going. But first I want to go back to something you said earlier. We've got a lot of people here in the audience who run smaller businesses than you guys are part of. What are some ways they can, as leaders, build trust with their customers? Give us your top 3 tips. Build trust with their customers and their teams.
I think I would start with be as transparent as possible about what it is you're trying to do, what your purpose is, how you are mapping out your processes to achieve that purpose. So what are the criteria by which you are making your decisions, and being transparent about that, and then have that feedback mechanism with your customers. So, if it's not working, if we're not achieving that purpose, how can I let you know, if I'm your customer, that this isn't working for me, so that you have that feedback mechanism. And I think that works at a scaled basis, even at large companies. But at the end of the day, I think those are the core aspects, which is I need to understand what matters to you and what you're trying to achieve, how you're going to do it, so I understand how it will impact me, and then let me have a little bit of a voice in how you make sure you get where you're trying to go and what's going to be beneficial for me as a customer.
Okay.
I think for us, the 3 things would be, service, right? So stick behind your commitment to serving your customer. I think that's, again, that was really important to test that during COVID, right? It was easy to stick your head under a rock, but it's really deliver on your promise to serve your customer. I think that's critical. And that is in the form of delivering every day the service that they expect from you. I think the second thing is really listening and understanding where they are trying to go and how you can help get them to that journey, whether it is being more innovative, creating more products, new markets, a global presence, whatever it may be, is see what you can do as a service. We are a service-based, technology-led company, so we look at what we can do. We've got 80 customers in Canada, so I think is listening to them and helping to figure out the need. And I think there's certainly a third being around the value proposition you bring, right? So that is on a total cost of ownership. I'm worthy of doing business with it as a provider, right? So price is right. Quality is right, reputation is right, you can count on us, it's right. I just met a customer in Quebec recently, and she said to me, every single thing you said you guys were going to do 5 years ago, and $85 million deal. You guys delivered. That's all I needed. I didn't even need a cup of coffee
Right.
after that, right? But the flip side of that's a bad thing. You guys didn't deliver what you said, right? So I think it's that whole brand and ownership, as Pam was saying.
I agree totally. Two things. The first one is listen. Listen, listen, and listen. When you're tired, listen. When you're pissed, listen. Because at the end of the day, as much you listen to your customer, your clients, you'll receive feedback that will be so helpful. But listen to your employees, because most of the time, they know so well what to do to build trust. So listen, listen, listen. And the second is, are you really clear about what you expect from each of your employees when they build trust with your clients, the stakeholders? You know, are they really, they clear, I told them to do this and people will trust us. Okay, but you have different kind of employees and they're doing different things. And maybe it's a speech, it's good, but are you able to really explain accurately what's the meaning of trust and what you expect in what she's doing day after day and he's doing day after day? Sometimes we're not enough clear in their jobs. So I would go with these two advice.
Okay. So we've got about a minute and a half. So this is going to be rapid fire. Are you fearful of where AI is going, or are you excited about the possibility? And a quick answer.
Mostly excited. I think there are things to fear, but I think we can master them if we were
Quickly.
focused on it.
Quickly,
so I'm
what
going
are
to go
those-
with excited.
Quickly, what are the things to fear?
I think just the rapidity of change, that it will be hard for us to keep up with the rapidity of change, and what that might mean for different aspects of our economic systems, our jobs, and our social systems. And then then there's the big sort of more existential threat about are humans going to be extinct? I find it hard to worry about that right now. I'm more worried about putting guardrails around and making it trustworthy AI, making sure that we aren't doing more harm to our society than good. But I'm wholly optimistic that with good, responsible AI practices and so many amazing minds working in that space, that this can be something fantastic for society.
Awesome.
Both. I'm excited and I'm worried. I like the fact there's humans in this room.
Right.
It's really cool. We don't want to be extinct. But I do actually think AI will bring some good things. But I think we as humans must be always superior. We must always win. The machine is here to serve us, even if it's artificial intelligence. We've got to really watch this gate. I am worried. I'm worried about some of the technology companies out there being lawless, not thinking deep enough about responsibility. But I think it's good and bad here.
I'm excited, careful, don't want to lose trust with my members, my clients because of AI. And at one point now, but there's probably so many people in the room that will help me. I feel that trust is most of the time based on emotions, real human emotions. AI still is not yet with emotions there. So for me, excited, but careful too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.